We're going to talk about what we need to see from G Day, but before we do, make sure you're clicking on the link below for Final Feelings. It's a very important thing that we do every single week in the fall, and it's G Day, so we decided to do it for this spring. Dean Leggy, Matt DeBerry, Ryan will join us on the website with his thoughts soon on Final Feelings. The biggest thing coming in this thing, Matt, is are the quarterbacks, and so let's just go. You can go ahead and start.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of them. They're banged up at running back. I think Kirby wants to get these quarterbacks out there. We haven't seen much from Brock Vandagriff or Gunnar Stockton yet in their career, so I think he's going to let these guys throw it out. Throw it all around. I think he wants to see some of these younger receivers step up and make some plays as well. I think he wants to, see what he's got from the left tackle and pass protection. A few guys, at least two big names there, Austin Blasky and Ernest Green fighting it out
Right,
there. So
right.
I'm expecting a lot from the quarterbacks. And to get the last thing you need is for a running back to get dinged up in a game like this. I wouldn't play Brock Bowers at all. Best player in college football. You don't need to see him in the spring game, but which means opportunities for everyone else. So I think all three of them are going to throw for a good amount of this game. That's what I expect at least. And why not? Why not? I mean, let them throw it out. Let them sling it.
Well, I mean, number first, because there's a few things I'm going to be looking for. First of all, how do the quarterbacks look? And now I'll be on the field, so Matt will have better perspective at the beginning of the thing when we get into the car for riding home. But I'll be able to hear things and see things that other folks won't, that nobody else will. But um, who looks good? In the past, both these guys have looked good. Now Beck has looked better throwing the football, but it's hard to ignore what Brock Vandagriff did a year ago, running around the corner the way he did. I mean, that was impressive. And as I write in Final Feelings, we don't know a lot of data here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we are unaware of, and I think this is what I wrote last night. I want to read it because I don't want to say it the wrong way. Um, it sure seemed, and it still seems like Carson Beck had the lead coming into this spring. The reality is that he was the number two quarterback in 2022. I'm not aware of anything that's changed over the last couple of weeks besides the traffic-driven chirping from folks in the media. Do we really know what's been happening in practices? The answer to that is no, Matt. If Brock Vandagriff was behind Beck for all of last year, what would make him overcome him this spring? The quote, light turning on? And I say this isn't directed at Brock Vandagriff, but shouldn't the light already be on for a player entering their third spring? How do we know the light? How do we know it wasn't already on? Based on what? Vandagriff has attempted three passes in his college life. We simply don't have enough data on him to have the first idea what's going on with him. Beck, we have more of an understanding of because he's thrown a lot of balls. And he was 13 of 17 against South Carolina Vanderbilt for 153 yards and three touchdowns, Matt. And people will say, well, South Carolina and Vanderbilt suck. And what I would say is, don't tell Tennessee and the Taters that because they're going to freak out. And my other global point is South Carolina and Vanderbilt are in the SEC. And the SEC is the SEC, period. There's pressure, there's athletes, and you either do it or you don't. And it's not who you play, it's how you play. Georgia kicked Texas Christian's ass. It wasn't just because of TCU, it's because they played really well that night. So that's what I wrote in Final Feelings, which is down below. But your comments.
Well, Carson Beck played really well with the twos. It's not like he was playing with
Yes.
the starters around him and the starters on the offensive line. I mean, he played with the backups and he looked good. I want to see Gunner run. I know it's tough to run a spring game because you get touched and you're down, but I think a lot of people are going to like what they see when he's able to take off. Want to see some defenders step up as well. I think it's going to be pretty vanilla, scheme wise, but
Probably.
I know these guys are going to want to chuck it down the field, but this is about who makes the right decision. Kirby said that how many times now? You make
A
the
lot.
right decision with the football. So it's nice if you can throw the ball downfield accurately. He wants to have explosiveness in the offense, but he wants to see him check it down if that's the right play. So accuracy is big, arm strength is big, pocket presence, the ability to move. But at the end of the day, you have to play the position. You've talked about
Yes.
this a while. You have to play quarterback and throw it where it needs to go and do that accurately. Make the smart decisions, not turn the football over. If you turn the football over, then you are on the hot seat. So he wants to find the guy who does his job the right way. And these guys have been in the system now. I know there's a new coordinator, but it's not going to be that different. Bobo's been with this team,
Oh yeah,
for
months.
a couple of years now, months now. So he's not going to change the whole thing up and make them learn an entire, new system. So, again, I'm excited to see the young receivers. I'm excited to see more Branson Robinson and Roderick Robinson at 230, bowling ball running back that they just signed out of San Diego.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I want to see my guy Dylan Fairchild come in and maybe, play on the offensive line. Micah Morris. These were two consensus 100, offensive linemen who were just waiting their time, sitting behind some really good players. So want to see left tackle. There's still a lot of question marks. Opposite cornerback,
Yep.
which
Yep.
young defensive linemen have a big game. I think Bear Alexander is still growing and developing into a guy who could be an All-American. Michael
Yep.
Williams off the edge. Well, I think he's out though. There's a
He
few
is out.
guys out.
He is out
Now
pretty
that I
soon.
think about it, but which just makes other guys have more opportunities to shine. So
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to make you stop talking. Just real quick,
no, no,
hey,
no, no.
listen, when you go to Athens this weekend, we've got our friends at Red Zone downtown on Clayton Street. If you get the book there, they will have confetti. If you will not be in Athens, that's okay. You can order the book down below. I don't have confetti; they do. So you have to get it in the store. I'm not. I'm out of the confetti ball game. But you were talking about Barry Alexander, so make sure you're dropping by Red Zone. Our friends at Red Zone. You're talking about Bear Alexander. Let me just say something real quick. Warren Brinson is someone no one thinks of. Do you think about Warren Brinson ever?
Oh,
Well,
in the fourth quarter of South Carolina, or I think he played against Florida, but Vanderbilt. That's when Warren Brinson shines. But he's been around a little bit now,
dude.
and he can make some plays.
Warren Brinson against Texas Christian. Warren
Yeah,
Brinson against Florida. Let me find the
yeah,
picture, Matt. There's Warren right there. Okay.
yeah.
What's my point? We're talking about guys, quote, waiting their turn. Like these guys, I think waiting their turn. We use waiting their turn. We use that term to describe players who are not starting. It's probably the wrong way to say it, but Warren Brinson is a great example of what happens behind the scenes. We don't see Warren Brinson play against Tennessee a lot. I mean, he's out there, but um, Warren Brinson times 30 is what the development is at Georgia because there's 30-ish, 35 players who we really don't see a lot of. That's what's going on. It's the Warren Brinson effect. And now here we see Warren's coming into his final year at Georgia, and he will probably play a fair amount of snaps. Those you need to be looking for on Saturday. Who is Warren Brinson in the class of well, it would be the class of 22. The guys that didn't really play a lot last year. You mentioned Dylan Fairchild. What about well, we've seen Morissette. What about Robinson and Paul at running back? Who is Green going to be starting on the left at left tackle or right tackle on the offensive line? How about Walker at linebacker? It's tough to get in there on that linebacker spot, Matt,
Yeah,
because that duo's got it locked down. They hardly
yeah.
ever came out.
Well, I think Jalen Walker's another guy who's banged
Yeah.
up, but
Oh, that's true. Sorry.
Raylan Wilson is a incoming freshman who's on there that is, a lot of people really talking about. CJ Allen too. We're going to see a lot of these incoming freshmen, these mid years that Kirby I think is really pleased with. But guys like Kristen Miller and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins
Yeah.
are very talented guys on the
Yeah.
defensive line who could possibly be starting at other programs. And there's a lot of guys on the offensive line who would be starting at most SEC programs. So Lawson Lucky is another, freshman who's making a
Is
lot
he?
of
I mean,
noise.
yeah, I was just gonna say he's been mentioned a lot for sure, and
Yeah.
I don't know the context in which he's being mentioned. It could be that he's just out there balling out. I mean, we don't know,
Yeah.
and so we'll just
Yeah.
see. Go ahead.
I think if you again, I wouldn't throw the ball much to Brock Bowers or play him much in this game at all. There's no reason to. So I
Right.
do see a lot of opportunities for Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky because Pierce Furlan is also out,
He's
the
also
incoming
out.
freshman
Yeah,
there.
it's not an ideal situation at tight end. coming in this
Yeah.
thing. Because I agree with you about Brock Bowers. You don't want to kind of overdo it, but Oscar's going to be out there. Lawson Lucky's going to be out there. You do not have Sperling.
Then it's
Obviously,
walk-ons. Yeah.
yeah, and then that's kind of it. So Eric Gilbert's gone, Darnell's gone, Ryan Gully, Seether, those guys have all cleared out. They came into last season with 6 scholarship tight ends. They're gonna lead. They're gonna do G Day with. Well, they're gonna do it with 3, but how long will Brock be out there for? But there's a fine line too. Let me just say this real quick. There's a fine line too. You have to scrimmage, man. You got to play. And so it can't be I don't want to get Brock Bowers hurt. They got to play, man. I mean, like
Yeah.
Georgia lost. Let's keep this in mind. Georgia lost JT Daniels when they thought he would be the person that could lead them to the national championship. This program is more than about any one player. I agree. You don't want to get anybody hurt. That's the biggest thing. But if they lose Brock Bowers, that doesn't mean they can't still win the national championship. It does hurt them if that were to happen, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
No,
But that would be, you're
that'd be
losing,
tough.
I think, the best player in college football. But that's
Yeah.
why you build depth and other 5 stars. And again, we've said no one, even in recruiting, is a must get anymore. To be must gets in a recruiting back when they were
There's
not
no
every year, but you could still win it without one particular player.
there is no Isaiah Crowell that's out there that Georgia sort of had to sign, but nonetheless. All right, thanks for watching. Go to Red Zone. We'll see you on the website.